Hello everybody, it's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for the 2023 Book Awards. So in today's video, I am going to be giving some awards to some books that I read in 2023. With the exception of my biggest disappointment for the year, I will be giving out only complimentary awards. I do have a video coming out where I talk about all the books I did not finish, or the books that I didn't think were very good, or some other books that disappointed me throughout 2023. That will be coming up in the next few days, so keep an eye out for that if you're interested in some salty opinions. But for today, we're going to be discussing the books that I overall really enjoyed. We will be talking through a variety of different categories and the best books of those categories, as well as, like I said, most disappointing, best book overall, best cover design, and that sort of thing. I don't know how long this video will be. Last year's video was a bit longer than anticipated, so grab yourself a cup of tea, coffee, maybe a wine, depending on, what you're into, what time it is, etc. And come along as we give out some awards to some books. I should just say that most of these books are not books that were published in 2023. These are books that I read in 2023. So yeah, just in case that was something that was of interest to you. So I'm going to start with the biggest disappointment. I'm going to get that out of the way first, and unfortunately my biggest disappointment of 2023 was Enclave by Claire G. Coleman. This is a dystopian book set in Australia. It follows a young woman who lives in an enclave. The enclave is very kind of 1950s-esque in the way that it treats women, in the way that it treats people of colour, in the way that it treats LGBTQIA+ individuals, and it's about this young woman kind of realizing how it's not great and trying to figure out how to deal with that and what to do about that. I was hoping for amazing things from this book. One of my favourite books of 2022 was Terra Nullius by Claire G. Coleman. This book absolutely blew me away. What Claire G. Coleman did in the middle of the book is the thing that just blew my mind and made me absolutely love it. But I thought it was a fantastic, again, post-apocalyptic dystopian story about colonialism and imperialism. So I was expecting amazing things. I really was expecting to just absolutely love Enclave and find it completely incredible and phenomenal and all of those good things, but alas, I did not. I still gave it 3 stars. I still thought that it had some merit. I still thought that Claire G. Coleman is a strong writer, and I could definitely see what she was doing with the book, but it just disappointed me. I didn't think it all came together as well as I was hoping it would, and there were some elements to it that I thought were unnecessary. So unfortunately, my most disappointing book of the year was Enclave by Claire G. Coleman. But now it's time to talk about some other good things. I'm going to move on from my biggest disappointment to my biggest surprise of the year. And my biggest surprise of 2023 was Perry Angel's Suitcase by Glenda Millard. This is a middle grade. It is a contemporary, but the way that it's written, it feels almost fantastical, even though there are actually no fantastical elements to it. Glenda Millard just has a beautiful, lyrical, whimsical writing style that is very reminiscent of middle grade fantasy, which I really, really enjoyed. This is a book that was actually chosen for me by my class, and I read it as part of a vlog reading books my class chose for me, which I will link down below if you'd like to go and check that out. I had a really good time making this vlog, and I found this book to be absolutely amazing. It was heartbreaking, it had me crying, but it was also uplifting and just beautiful, and I really, really enjoyed it. So this is a book about a family. They are a big family, they are very enthusiastic, and they have big feelings, big emotions. They are very dynamic and creative. It's actually told from the perspective of a friend of the family. She describes their house, their ramshackle house, and their family as the kingdom of silk. Into this family and this dynamic comes a little boy called Perry Angel, and he brings with him a suitcase which he refuses to open but also refuses to leave alone. He is always carrying it, and it is about figuring out what's going on for Perry Angel. He is a foster child and he is fostered by the Silks, and it's really about childhood trauma. It's about dealing with trauma. It's about finding love and acceptance and giving love and acceptance, and I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. It's done in a beautiful way that works really, really well for the age group that it is aimed at. So it's not overbearing, it's not going to be upsetting or too much information, too much negativity, too much trauma for children of that age, but it does express trauma and the feelings of trauma and coping with trauma in a way that it really is accessible for a young reader, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. I loved the characters. They are such beautiful characters. I love the way she wrote Perry, and all the characters were great, but the father of the Silk family as well was just so touching. His storyline was just incredible as well. I feel like I'm tearing up talking about this book. It was just phenomenal and beautiful. Apparently it's second or third in a series, and the other books in the series are just as amazing, so I definitely need to get my hands on those. But yeah, most surprising in a fantastic way in 2023 was Perry Angel's Suitcase by Glenda Millard. We are now going to talk about my favourite cover of 2023. I feel like the publishing industry has really upped their game with cover art, and there are so many absolutely stunning books out there, and I have a lot on my shelf. So for this to be my favourite cover of 2023, I feel like says a lot. It is my favourite cover of the books that I read in 2023, although as you'll see as we go through other books, there are some incredible covers in the other categories that I've given awards to, and that is A Day, a Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Isn't this just beautiful? I'll let it focus on the book instead of me. I love the way it wraps around. I love the dragon. I love the colours. It is just the most beautiful cover. Every time I look at it, it makes me happy. I just think it's so stunning. I absolutely adore this cover. The book is really fantastic as well. I really, really enjoyed this book. It is a chunker, so yeah, it takes a while to get through, but it's definitely worth it. I know that there are incredible special editions out there, but I'm really happy even just with this normal paperback. I'm going to go through now and talk about my favourites of various different category or genre of books that I read in 2023. Before I do that though, I just want to say that I haven't given an award for every genre of book that I read in 2023. There were some that I just didn't read very many of, that I didn't feel like I could give a favourite of that genre or that category. There are some genres and categories that I've kind of put together because I've read a few of similar books that I feel like the genres work together, but I didn't have enough of the one to be separate categories, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I'm going to give out some awards now for my favourites of different categories. I will start with probably my least read genre, and I've actually put these together, and that is dark academia and horror. I realise that these two genres don't necessarily go together, but they kind of stem from the same originator. They kind of stem from Gothic literature, which I feel puts them together, and there's often some quite horrific things happening in dark academia as well. So my favourite book in this dark academia horror category of 2023 was Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This was a little bit of a difficult category to decide upon, partly because I wasn't sure whether Ninth House and Hellbent really went in here or whether they went more in a paranormal category, but I ended up deciding that they do in fact belong in dark academia. This is a story about Alex Stern. Alex is able to see ghosts. The people that run this house at Yale University, who are responsible for monitoring the occult activities of all the other occult houses, fraternities at Yale University, they find out about Alex and they ask her to become a member of this Ninth House. This is the follow-up to Ninth House, and a few things are resolved from Ninth House and a few other things are brought into question. We are talking about demons and hell. We are talking about the consequences of magic and occult things, and yeah, I just thought this was fantastically well done. It is dark academia because it takes place in Yale, and a lot of the occult activity sort of stems from Yale because of Yale's position on the sort of ley lines of America. I really enjoyed both Ninth House and Hellbent. This is, like I said, the second book in the series. I've reread Ninth House and then read Hellbent, and yeah, I just had a lot of fun with them. I thought they were incredibly well written. I really enjoyed the way Leigh Bardugo approaches the occult and dark academia, and yeah, this is definitely my favourite dark academia / horror. There are definitely some horror elements in this book, so I thought that it worked as well. Some quite upsetting and concerning things, but in a really fun, interesting way, if that makes any sense. My favourite crime and mystery thriller award goes to Riviera Gold by Laurie R. King. This is the 15th or 16th book in the Mary Russell series. This is another one that's a little bit difficult to figure out how to categorize. This is a historical fiction mystery. It is a Sherlock Holmes retelling as well. So I did struggle to figure out where to put this, but the main storyline in these books are the mysteries, so I felt like that was probably the best place for this to go. And yeah, I love this series. I think that it is phenomenally well written. I think Mary Russell is one of the most intelligent, feisty, incredible female characters that I've ever read about, and yeah, I just absolutely love this series. Like I said, it is a Sherlock Holmes retelling, so it is my favourite crime thriller mystery for 2023. My favourite romance for 2023 was a little bit difficult to decide upon because I did read some really fantastic romances. I didn't read a lot of romance, but I read some that were just amazing. But in the end, I had to give the award to Heartstopper Volume 5. This is a young adult romance graphic novel that is just phenomenal. This is the 5th installment. I'm really, really, really excited that I read this book and I really enjoyed it. I think that Alice Oseman just writes characters incredibly well. Nick and Charlie are some of the most beautiful, sweetest, loveliest characters you could ever come across. This book talks about communication and following your own dreams and how to be part of a relationship and make decisions for yourself. I thought that it was incredibly mature and well done, but also really well written for a young adult audience. And I just love Nick and Charlie. I love this series. It is just incredible, and yeah, this is definitely my favourite romance of 2023. As a separate category from favourite romance, I do also have favourite contemporary, and my favourite contemporary book of 2023 was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is an incredible story. I think that R.F. Kuang's writing style is amazing. I love the way she writes characters and I just really enjoyed this book. This is about a woman called June who is an author and doing mediumly well, but not a superstar author. She is friends, however, with a woman who is a superstar author. One of her books is being turned into a Netflix show, and they are celebrating one night when Athena, the celebrated author, chokes on a pancake and dies. June finds her notes for a story that she's been writing and takes them and writes the book and publishes it as her own work. And it is about whitewashing in the publishing industry. It is about the publishing industry. It is about how authors are treated, and there's so many different things in this book, and it's so layered and incredibly well written, incredibly well executed. I really enjoyed this book, and yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Definitely my favourite contemporary of 2023. This year in 2023, I've read a lot of retellings, whether they be retellings of fairy tales, of mythology, like I said, of other stories for Riviera Gold. So I do have a category of retelling, and the favourite retelling that I read in 2023 was Electra by Jennifer Saint. You will have heard quite a bit recently about how much I absolutely adore Jennifer Saint's writing style. I think that she is just an incredible writer. She really puts a lot of heart into her characters. She writes incredibly sympathetic characters, especially given that a lot of the characters that she writes about don't have the best reputations, don't have the best overall stories, and I think she gives a lot of new perspectives to those characters and a really fantastic sort of feminist lens in which to look at them. It's not a hit you over the head with feminism, it is much more subtle than that, but I think incredibly well done. So this book is a Trojan War retelling. We follow Electra, we also follow Clytemnestra and Cassandra, and I loved looking at all of their lives, all of their stories, in particular actually Clytemnestra, and yeah, just absolutely phenomenal. Love, love, love Jennifer Saint's writing style, love her perspectives and the way she writes characters, and yeah, absolutely adored this book. Also, look at that cover. A genre of book that I have discovered that I really enjoyed this year was historical fantasy, and my favourite historical fantasy of 2023 is The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. This is an absolutely stunning book. I love Alex E. Harrow's writing style. Again, I love the way that she writes characters. I love the feminist messages that she puts into her books, and I love the use of magic and the interweaving magic into the plot. I just think that she has an incredible way of writing stories. This book is about the suffragette movement, but it is also about witches, and it is about how feminist power and the pursuit of rights for women can interlink with witch power and the power of magic, and I just thought it was incredibly well written, really well woven together. I love the way that the search for magical power and women's power was woven together. Just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely adored this book, and definitely my favourite historical fantasy that I read in 2023. And now we come to favourite fantasy, and this was a difficult one because, as you guys know, fantasy is my most read genre. I love fantasy. It's always been my favourite genre. I absolutely adore all the different stories, different worlds. Yeah, I just love fantasy. So it was very difficult for me to decide upon a favourite, and I've actually gone for an entire series, and that is The Rainwild Chronicles by Robin Hobb. This is the fourth series in the Elderling series, which is written by Robin Hobb. I am not going to go into any detail about this series in particular because, as I said, it's the fourth series within that overarching series. I'm also going to put it down because it's very heavy. But I love Robin Hobb's writing style. I love the way that she, again, writes characters. Her world building is phenomenal. She is able to reach into you and grab your heart and pull it out in the best way possible. She just is a phenomenal storyteller, an incredible world builder, and just a beautiful writer, beautiful worlds. I can't say enough good things about Robin Hobb. She's one of my favourite authors for sure, one of my favourite fantasy series of all time, one of my favourite series of all time. I am so glad I finally read the Rainwild Chronicles. I am so happy that I enjoyed them as much as I did, and yeah, this is my favourite fantasy series that I read in 2023. My favourite adaptation for 2023 will surprise absolutely no one. It is Heartstopper Series 2. So, as you would have seen already, my favourite romance of 2023 was Heartstopper Volume 5. My favourite book to screen adaptation is Heartstopper Series 2. So this actually follows books 3 and 4, and yeah, adapts those. I love this TV show. I think it is incredibly well done. I think the actors are incredible. They fulfill the roles that they have been cast in beautifully. I think it's so wholesome and sweet and lovely, while at the same time talking about some really difficult and complex subjects in such a compelling way. It is so relatable. It is so incredibly just beautiful and well done, and I'm so happy that it's been adapted because there are so many more people that will be able to access the story now, and it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely phenomenal and my favourite adaptation, which leads me actually directly into my favourite character of 2023, because my favourite character of 2023 is the same person as my favourite character of 2022, and that is Nick Nelson. I love Nick Nelson. He is the epitome of a golden retriever character. He is such a sweetheart. He is such a lovely boy. He cares so deeply for his friends, his family. He loves Charlie so much. He is so honest and sweet and kind. He's just such an incredible, beautiful soul, and I absolutely love him. And the character is just perfectly brought to life by Kit Connor, who plays him in the show, that it just brings a whole new element to Nick as a character and makes him that much more amazing and that much more sweet and lovely. And I just absolutely adore the original character of Nick Nelson and the acted character of Nick Nelson. So yeah, that is my favourite character of 2023. And finally, the one you've all been waiting for, my favourite book of 2023. I wonder if you can guess which one it's going to be. If you want to, maybe pause and comment what you think. I'm sure it comes as absolutely no surprise to anybody that my favourite book of 2023 was Babel by R.F. Kuang. This book is phenomenal. I adored this book. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, a 10 in core pile, and I almost never give out a 10 in core pile. Every single category got 10. I thought the world building was impeccable. The characters were incredibly well written. The magic just was fabulous. The way that it connected to language was such an interesting and unique idea. The conversation around imperialism and racism was just unbelievable. Everything about this book was incredible. I absolutely adored it. R.F. Kuang is an incredible, incredible author. I absolutely adore her writing style, and also this cover is amazing. But yeah, this was my favourite book of 2023. It was a hard one, guys, because Robin Hobb was in here, Jennifer Saint was in here. I read a lot of incredible books in 2023, but Babel just kicked everyone out of the way. Babel said I want to be first, and it really deserves it. So those are all the awards that I wanted to give out today. Yeah, comment what you think of all these awards. Comment if you agree with all of my choices. Comment what you might have given the award to in that category. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me an award emoji, because we're giving out awards. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.